Welcome back, Dynamite Pack. This is Mego here to share with you a really cool way to get shiny Pokemon easy in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. There's a fun and easy shiny hunting method that you can do early in the game to increase your shiny odds without shiny charms. So if you want to do some shiny hunting along your journey, here's a cool way to do it. And of course, you can use it in the late game too and increase your odds even more. So stick around because I'll go over how this method works. And yeah, we'll talk all about it and break it down and what your odds are and all that fun stuff. The first thing you need to know is this method requires you to unlock mass outbreaks on your in-game map. You unlock mass outbreaks the same way you unlock all 3 main stories and most of the features in the game. You go to school. That's right, you heard it here, straight from a real-life teacher herself. You have to go to school. You have to finish. So don't skip out on your classes. Alright? And once you complete school, mass outbreaks will begin appearing on your map. You can identify them in one main way, which we're going to talk about. You can find either a question mark or a Pokemon icon, but you'll know it's an outbreak because it will have a glowing red icon behind it. Okay, so if you see a Pokemon with a glowing red icon, that basically means you've registered that Pokemon in your Pokedex and it is currently having an outbreak. If you see this question mark here with a glowing red behind it, that means you have not registered that Pokemon in your Pokedex, but it is having an outbreak. So if you want to go get a bunch of them, that's your opportunity. If you are doing this early game, I recommend sticking to outbreaks in areas that you have explored. Your Pokemon will be more likely to be able to defeat those Pokemon, and you'll have better success at doing this method. If you go to an area you haven't been to and your Pokemon are under-leveled, your team's gonna get destroyed. Alright, so think about that. And we'll get to that part in just a moment as well. Alright? So that brings me to the next thing. If you don't see a Pokemon outbreak in your area that you want to go to, or you're looking for a specific Pokemon, and you're not against date skipping, you can go into your Switch settings and skip a day ahead, come back into your game. You don't even have to fully close the game. Your game can be left open. I even pull up my map and leave it open, and you can see it update in real time as you date skip, and that way you can continue to check your map and find an outbreak you would like to hunt. Or like I said, if it's early game for you and you want to try out how this outbreak feature works, you can search for one in an area that you know your Pokemon can manage, because currently I'm only in the very beginning of the game. I only have 1 gym badge, so I'm sticking to the low section of the map and looking for outbreaks in those areas that I can potentially go to. Now, one other quick thing you might run into, and I ran into it here with this Psyduck outbreak that's popping up right now, is that I came across an outbreak where it had Pokemon spawning in areas I couldn't quite access. So you might run into areas like that, like this with the Psyduck being in the water, and I haven't unlocked the swimming ability with my Koraidon yet. So you can always go check out the outbreak and see what it's like, and if you feel like, you know, maybe it's not your best time to do it, then maybe go and find another one. So I attempted the Psyduck one just to see how it would go. But ultimately, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to most of those Pokemon over there far away in the water because they don't have the ability to swim right now. So you might take that into consideration as you go as well. So anyway, let's continue on. So once you have an outbreak that you want to do, you can go to the location and begin knocking out Pokemon. So, since my Psyduck outbreak didn't work, I came across a Buizel outbreak that was near the little river, so I thought that would be a good area. It was a good location. I can easily access most of the areas in that location. I didn't need to have any advanced things on my Koraidon, so I went to go try and search out a shiny Buizel. Alright, so once you get over there, you're going to be doing knockouts, and you can do this. The easiest way is to use the auto battle feature with the R button. You can knock them out quickly and easily keep track, because you need to keep count of how many you're knocking out in order to get your max odds. Alright, and we will talk about that in just a moment here. Alright, so let's talk about these odds, because you're going to want to knock out about 60 for your max odds, alright? So let's think about this next part right here. All right. So yeah, so you're gonna want to keep your count, okay? Somewhere around 45 to 55 knockouts, you may see a message pop up in your little notifications that says that the outbreak is getting low, or something to that effect. All right. So it doesn't mean anything except just sort of take it as a warning that if you're not too careful, you could potentially knock out all of the outbreak and the outbreak will disappear. So if you want a shiny hunt, just be mindful of that message, I would say. And again, just as long as you're keeping count, make sure you get all the way to 60. And just like I said, use that message as just sort of a little warning for you. But if you haven't reached 60, go ahead and get to 60 so you get your max odds. So let's talk about those odds right now. At full odds, with no shiny charm and no boosts, okay, no knockout boosts, your Pokemon spawns have a base rate of a 1 in 4,096 chance to be shiny. Alright, so you can increase that by doing this mass outbreak method. By knocking out 30, you can almost cut that number in half, and your odds become 1 in 2,048. So that is pretty good, that just 30 knockouts can take it down to about half your odds. So you're getting a lot of a boost there. Pretty good. But like I said, 60 is the one number you want to aim for. So you want to aim for 60 knockouts. I did count these out. You guys feel free to count and see if I miscounted. I even knocked out a few extra later on as I went along. But anyway, let's continue. All right. So, when you get to 60, with your 60 KOs, we'll give you your max odds chance, alright? With no shiny charm yet, okay? This is for early game odds. We'll go over your shiny charm odds in just a moment. So with the mass outbreak and 60 knockouts, your odds are now 1 in 1,365. Great odds for early game. So it's definitely manageable. It seems like most people who are doing this early game can find their shiny in 1 to 2 hours. It might take you a little longer if you happen to maybe potentially miss it, which is, I think, what happened to this weasel here, because I actually spent about 4 hours trying to hunt it, and I think I just probably missed it. It popped up somewhere, and I just missed it. And I think that's what happened, because that kind of seemed like ridiculous. So I don't know what was going on with there, but I have had success with this method that I'm going to continue explaining to you. Okay, once we get all of our 60 knocked out here. So the method does work. I caught a shiny Palmy that you see right there doing all the knockouts. I caught that using this method. I've seen some of my friends on YouTube use this method and get a shiny within an hour or two. So it is still pretty quick. And even if it had gone, you know, if I had hunted it for another hour and got it, I'd say 5 hours was still not bad, you know. But it was just odd that it was taking so long when normally it seems to have a higher rate. So it does work. Don't be discouraged. Just have a little patience and stick with it. And then, like I said, make sure you keep that count and you have your 60 knockouts. And if you're not quite sure, you can always knock out a couple extra just to make sure in case you missed a couple in your count. All right, so let's go over real quick while I'm continuing to knock these Pokemon out. I'll tell you guys what your odds are once you get the shiny charm, okay? Doing this method, okay? So when you finish the game, you get your Pokedex complete, you get your shiny charm. This method really does wonders, okay? So your odds now, once you have shiny charm, mass outbreak, and you've done 30 KOs, you now have shiny odds of 1 out of 1,024. Really good. And it gets even better. If you continue and get your max odds, so you do your 60 knockouts in your outbreak, you've got shiny charm now, you're at an official outbreak, and you've done 60 knockouts of that Pokemon. Then your odds, and these are your best odds, they don't get any better than this, 1 out of 819. Alright, so the in-game definitely gives you your best odds, which I am going to do some in-game hunting for sure, but if you do have a certain Pokemon along your adventure that you do want to hunt, there is a way to get it. This method works, and it will help you get that shiny if you have a certain shiny you really want on your team in the game. Might be the way to go if you can find it in an Outbreak. And I believe, I'm still learning a little bit about how the Outbreaks work, but I think if most Pokemon that spawn in the wild have a potential to have an Outbreak, especially if there's like these bigger groups, okay? So, just keep looking for it and look for the one you want. All right, so now comes the fun part. Once you've done your 60 KOs, now I'm not quite sure about this next part. I have heard some people say it, but I don't know. But some people say once you knock out your 60, you should save your game and then use the picnic to reset spawns. Okay, so basically what you will do is you'll run around the area once you've completed your 60 knockouts. If you haven't seen a shiny pop up, because as you knock them out, some more are going to be spawning in. So if you haven't gotten the shiny at that point and you don't see it currently in the spawns, you can reset spawns by using your picnic feature. It will completely wipe out the spawns all around you, and they'll be replaced with fresh new spawns. And it can kind of seem like it's just the same Pokemon over and over, but if you pay attention to some of the Pokemon around the area that aren't in the Outbreak, you'll notice that they'll change, or they'll change positions. So you can be confident that it is changing to new spawns. So just be patient and you'll get that shiny, alright? And that's why I think it is important to keep that accurate count of your knockouts so you know that you are getting your maximum odds. And like I said, I think it's fine if you knock out a couple extra, just in case. So if you get to like 62, 63 knockouts, then you're good. And so yeah, just keep that count and you'll most likely get it, alright? You can also run far away enough to despawn and then run around. So like in this small area with the Buizel, I was kind of doing a mix of using my picnic to reset as well as running up and down the river, because when I would get to a certain point, Pokemon behind me would disappear and they would respawn with new spawns. So you can use that method as well. So either one works. Just maybe when you get to an area, I'd say kind of get a feel for where the Pokemon are spawning and what locations they're in, and then kind of decide what do you think works best. It might be that the picnic works a little faster if they're all grouped in a small area. If they're in a larger area, it might be good to just kind of make a circle around the area, or kind of, kind of see how the pattern is going, and just sort of make your best judgment about what to do. So, or you can do a mix of like using your picnic and running around to despawn and respawn the Pokemon, and then eventually you should get a shiny. So unfortunately I was not able to find the shiny Buizel. I feel like sometimes I'm noticing too that when I would put my picnic down, I would take off in the direction I was facing and didn't really turn around behind me. So it's possible that a shiny popped up behind me one time and I just didn't see it behind me. So, definitely be aware of that. I thought I was being very careful about looking for the spawns, but sometimes they spawn and despawn like really quick, and so just keep an eye out and make sure you know what the shiny looks like that you're looking for. That will help you along as well. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I did have success with this method, just not on this Pokemon eventually, and it just got too late. I had to go to sleep. I was like, I can't keep hunting this. I need sleep. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the little tutorial. Sorry it was a little long. There's a lot to cover, and I actually wrote out a script for this so that I made sure to cover all of the points that I wanted to talk about. So anyway, I'll leave you with this. Happy hunting, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Now go find a shiny.